Welcome back to the Gurus, guys. This is the second episode of Gurus on Reality that we teased the other night. This will be more consistent throughout the Survivor season. We will be doing a recap of the Big Brother season following the finale on Sunday, along with doing kind of a State of the Union address on that franchise. But today, Mike, we're going to be doing one on Survivor. Survivor 49 just kicked off. We're going to start with a fantasy draft today. And then we'll talk about what in the world is going on with this show. But Mike, I know you were under the weather the other day. How are you doing?
I'm doing better. Cough drops are curing things, Robitussin and all that other stuff. But Survivor's episode Wednesday night, I believe, really got me. It got me going. It really got me home free. I'm no longer.
It couldn't have made your tummy feel good.
No, not with the vomiting and the projectile. That was. But seeing that made me think, okay, I'm actually fine. I'm not doing as bad as I think I am. Because there was some nonsense that went on there on that series, on that premiere episode.
Yeah, so the way I wanted to do this was, the way I envisioned it is, I'm not into the bio thing. I understand people do fantasy leagues and stuff, so they have to kind of judge these people before. I like to get a little taste of what they are, like on my screen, at least for a little while, and then we can judge them appropriately. Right. So we do have the beneficiary of not having to draft Nicole, who's already been evicted. So we will be drafting the rest of the players, kind of just going back and forth. I will start because Mike allegedly knows who won now.
I allegedly know who wins. So
I'll say this, Mike. Don't react if I pick that person. But furthermore, I thought I knew who won 47, which was Genevieve. There was a few comments that said Genevieve won. She obviously didn't. That was Rachel. Yep. So fortunately, I hope that person was wrong. We will see. But I'm excited to do this. I got the pen, pad, and paper ready. I had notes from the other night for us to dissect. And we're just going to hit this draft off immediately. So I will go first, just because, again, Mike has allegedly some prior knowledge. But again, who knows how accurate that is?
We don't know.
We'll judge this based off the episode here. I'm going to go Sophie with an I. There are two Sophies. I'm taking the one whose name ends with the I. Sophie Bellardi, I believe, is
on the Blue Tribe, which I don't know the tribe's names yet. I know one of them is Kelly. I believe that is the Blue Tribe.
Yes.
Sophie is the one with the I. She's on the Blue Tribe who just lost the last tribal council. I had to go vote out Nicole.
Exactly. And we'll try our best with the tribe names because, they're a little tough. So as far as Sophie is concerned, I loved her debut here. It seemed like she had a good grasp of how she wants to play the game, which I think no one else in the entire cast had, besides perhaps one person who I presume you will be taking next. So it just felt, watching this episode, that, and we'll get to this later on with what happened to the show, it's a lot of kumbaya, a lot of, oh my God, we watched this with the gals on Thursday, or Wednesday, excuse me, and we go to the bar, and we get some margs, and we have a great time, and oh my God, I'm on an island with all you people. I'm so excited. I'm the happiest.
Very starstruck. Yeah, everyone's very starstruck. They're like, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah, Mike, look, I've watched this show for a while. I was dormant for quite a few years, but I'm back now in full force. And look, if I was on the island, I would be starstruck, for sure. But that would wane off incredibly fast when I realize I am playing for nearly $1 million, okay? So the fact that some of these people were so just hung up on the fact that they were there, I understand that is a natural human reaction. But for me, Sophie was the one who appreciated that they were there, but also had the wheels turning immediately of how she can use this tribe to her advantage. Because at the end of the day, sure, a tribe is a team in a sense, but you also have to immediately figure out a faction within your tribe, the way Survivor set up modern day with the 3 tribes. So Sophie immediately insulates herself with these 2 muscle heads.
The meat shields,
the meat shields, as they call it, of course. And she's insulated behind them. But furthermore, she also has Jeremiah, who is also there kind of calling the shots in a way. He kind of had his gears turning as well and figured, okay, I also want to align with them. I'll hitch my wagon to you. But the reason why I thought Sophie was so smart in this instance, because normally I would be a little concerned just by the gender divide, because it's 3 men, 1 woman. Sometimes you see, if it gets down to that, oh, we'll just take out the woman. That's just how it is, or vice versa, right?
Player first,
yeah, that's just a natural Survivor thing that happens sometimes. Whereas Sophie, she was already with the 3, So I feel like she has an air of importance that Jeremiah just doesn't have. He's kind of just left there as kind of this hitch. And that's why I think Sophie's in such an amazing position, because not only is she thinking about the game, she's clearly making it, in my opinion, to merge. So that's something I already immediately want to see. I don't think you could really say that about anyone else. Like, to me, Sophie, I'm the most confident that she will make the merge. So I have to pick her. I think we'll see her abilities in comps. I thought she did fine in the comps that they showed. Obviously, the Blue Tribe as a whole didn't, particularly because of the aforementioned Nicole and then Annie as well, who I have a feeling will be one of the last picks.
Yeah,
but regardless, I just think Sophie really has a good head on her shoulders, and I want to see more as far as, like, okay, it's easy to plot against the Nicoles and Annies of the world.
Right.
I want to see if one of those Alex or Jakes, if they start to get on her nerves, if she has to make a plan to get them out.
Well, you already saw it. Yeah, on the first episode, she's like, he's getting too close with Alex. That's my number one.
Yeah, that was kind of some foreshadowing. So we'll see if something comes of that. But what I'm saying is, if she does have to make that move, will she be able to execute it and keep her place as far as being the most insulated in this tribe? So I want to see, obviously, a little bit more. We want to see more of everyone here. But I really like my first pick in Sophie with an I. So that's who I'm going with. Mike, what do you got?
She had a great debut. So just real quick, is it a snake draft? Do I get 2 picks in a row?
We'll go snake. Yeah, go 2 in a row, but do one at a time.
One at a time. Okay, of course. So I liked Sophie's debut. She was going to be my number 1 pick. The problem is, heading into this, she would be my number 1 pick. However, I have a rule of thumb. If you are a player on the losing tribe on the very first episode, I don't want to pick you with my first pick, because
I get that.
Last few years, there's been some disaster tribes. I mean, we have tribes that just get decimated early on.
Now, Mike, I'll say this, though. So I don't think this blue tribe is nearly as offensively bad as the green tribe.
The green tribe last year was so pathetic with Cedric and Say and Mary, and it was embarrassing. This tribe at least has some they have some muscle, they have some athleticism.
Yeah, they have 2 presumable alpha males on their team. Yeah,
right. But they did lose the marooning challenge pretty badly, and they did lose this obviously immunity challenge because Nicole obviously is a weak link. So maybe getting rid of her, which I actually agree with that was the right vote out, because if you want to keep your tribe strong, that is the correct thing to do.
100%.
Go out the weak link, which I get that, but yeah, no real strategy there as far as just go out the weak player there. That being said, you are down to 5, and usually in a merge you want to have the numbers. So I'm not going to go Sophie. Obviously, you took Sophie already, but she was going to be my number 1 pick until her tribe lost the first immunity, and I was like, sets her back a little bit in my opinion, because you want to have numbers going into the merge, which I do believe she will be in. I'm going to go with Nate.
Nate, okay.
My first pick is going to be Nate from the red tribe. I'm going with 2 people in the red tribe, by the way. Nate is the Hollywood guy. They have a Hollywood guy on this season.
Mike, do you know people are upset that he's on the season as if Mike White wasn't on Survivor before?
Of course, David versus Goliath. Folks, they had a David versus Goliath season where they had people that were quote-unquote Goliaths that were working in Hollywood, already making millions of dollars.
Seriously.
It's not all people who are like homeless and need the $1 million. Like people have played the show that have money before.
Yeah, they're not all Davids. Like there are some people that are just here for the competition aspect of the show that want to win, not just
right. Money. People forget that because this 40s era of Survivor has been a lot of people with like, very nice stories. It's a lot of Davids, recent memory. So
we'll get to the nice stories later. Yeah.
Right. But we previously did have some Mike Whites of the world. We had some Goliaths in here that played the show. So I'm going to go with Nate. I think he's playing the game. He hasn't gotten himself into any major alliance yet, which, you want to, as the boots hit the ground, you want people to start forming day 1 alliances. That's why I liked what Sophie did, becoming kind of like the Eva of last year. She's like, I need a Joe. I need a meat shield to protect me. So very smart on her part. But I think Nate, I just kind of have faith in him that he's going to get along with people. He's going to be. I know he's a little bit older. I get that, but I think this tribe he's on is a little bit wacky. So I think he's the least wacky of the people in this red tribe. Like he's not going to be able to like stand out necessarily. Like a few people we'll get to here later on, like Sage or like Shannon or Rizzo or whatever. So I think he'll be able to kind of blend in and make his way to the merge and then put on a nice, post merge end game. So I just think he'll go far. I don't know if he'll win the game, but I think he'll go far. My next
I like the pick, yeah.
Yeah, my next pick is Savannah, also on the red tribe. I just like this red tribe. I think the red tribe's going to have a lot of numbers going into the merge. And she seems like the strategist to me of this tribe. I mean, Shannon's all good vibes. Rizzo's here for the experience. He wants to be fun. We saw the challenge that he did against Alex where he was like cheating off the puzzle. If you're not good at puzzles, I'm sorry, I can't put you this side. I like Rizzo. fun character, but he's self-proclaimed a terrible puzzle maker. So I like
But maybe
Savannah.
that's his arc, Mike. Maybe he just becomes a puzzle master at the end of the
Maybe
season.
at the end he does, and that would be very, very, very cool. But Savannah hits the ground running, and she says, "I'm not for all this kumbaya stuff. I'm here to play the game. All right, let's get down to brass knuckles here." I watched her pregame interview stuff. Not saying that she's going to be Parvati, but she's trying to almost be like the charmer of the group. She has
the similar mannerisms. I made that exact comparison when I was watching. Yeah.
And again, these people all they want to do is hide their occupation. She says she's in marketing. Obviously, she's a reporter. We saw our guy Sam a couple years ago was a sports reporter. He made it pretty far. Again, I don't want to go too in depth of what's your occupation. That means you're going to go far. But I like that she's a reporter. She can talk her way out of things, maybe talk her way into things. But again, this is just early. All of this is just first impressions. So I'm just going to go off of what I've seen in the 90-minute or the 2-hour season premiere, and I think that she's at least playing the game. She's looking for numbers. She's thinking end game, short term. So I like Savannah and Nate out of the Red Tribe, which I don't know the name of the Red Tribe yet.
Uli. And as far as Savannah, she was a popular winner pick that I saw before the season, as far as people judging those videos that you talked about
just
before the show aired. Yeah. And just seeing her background and whatnot. My problem with Savannah was, and I think I would have picked her in one of my next 2 picks here, but she seemed like one of those types that knows how the game works and has this desire to kind of game, right? As I mentioned with Sophie, but her words weren't really matching her actions the first episode. So I was a little worried about that. She was talking such a big game, but she didn't really do anything. And again, she didn't really have to. Red was in a great position the entire time, but I just wanted to see a little bit more, especially when you're, again, talking such a big game, because she had a lot of confessionals in this episode where, again, she was kind of crafting this mastermind arc for herself. And to me, it was just like, okay, like, anyone can act like they're smarter than everyone else, but you actually have to, like, do it at some point.
Yes, but they did drop a little seed. They dropped little, like, hints. We obviously know she's in that tight 3 with Shannon and I believe Jawan, and Jawan's like recruiting. Jawan's like recruiting.
They're looking for fourth,
But while that's happening, they have this cutscene of her, I think they're doing like palm fronds or whatever, and she's talking to Nate, my first overall pick, who's kind of just like a loner, quote unquote, and she's like, "What are you thinking?" She's kind of like she's kind of like she's not in with someone. It wasn't like a final 2 or anything, but they were talking as if they were like, "Hey, let's work together, let's like protect each other," type of thing. And he's not in that group yet, so I think that she's trying to make her way like good with other people. We saw a little bit of Sage and how she's kind of an unfiltered person, but I think she's talking to everybody, which is overall means she's good with them, even if she's not, quote unquote, right now aligned with them.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I just didn't think that Nate Reed was awesome either, because I thought Nate was just quiet because he's a dad on the island trying to get stuff done. He wasn't necessily a loner. He was just kind of trying to get stuff done around the tribe.
They were all calling him dad. Yeah, they were all calling him he knows he's the old guy on this tribe, so he's kind of just trying to fit in. Yeah.
And I think he can use that to his advantage. So I like that pick for you. He was on my board for sure. I'm going to go totally off the board. This is my shot in the dark, if you will. This is my high floor, high ceiling pick, because this person I think has a really high floor, but I think people are discounting the high ceiling for this person, and that is Matt on the, excuse my pronunciation, the Haina tribe, the Hina tribe. Are you ready for this analysis? I don't think you are, because I spent a lot of time on this throughout the episode. So when I look for in a Survivor winner, more than anything, is gravitational pull, because I think you need a certain likability factor above anything else. And we saw that last year with Kyle. Even though he wasn't necessarily, the Joe, the most unanimous approval rating of everyone because of the honor and everything that he did, his relationship with Eva, he was at least this charismatic figure, this young guy with a great smile who's able to make everyone like him. Now, I understand that Matt fits more of that Joe mold, where everyone will like him. It's almost too much and, whatever. But I think the key difference is Matt, to me, got the impression that he wants to win this game. It wasn't this Joe thing where he just wants to, make everyone happy and never lie to someone. To me, Matt had an edge to him. And when you have an edge to you and you have this ability to make everyone around you like you, I think that's meaningful. And to me, even though he's 52 years old, I thought he was one of the better people on their tribes throughout the challenges at everything, which to me is also important, especially later in the game. I think he has the ability to do okay in the physical challenges. Is he the same specimen as an Alex or Jake, no, but we'll get to them later. But I think Matt is enough of a well-rounded figure and has that slight edge to him that I think could be a factor later in the game. It's a weird pick because, again, you don't see in the modern era of Survivor these older people get as far, but this cast is slightly older, skewed wise. This is a slightly more outcast of a cast. So I'm just trying to find an edge, per se, with what I'm given with the cast profile. And I think Matt fits all the boxes, really, where he's likable to all these people, particularly in his own tribe, but he's also meaningful enough where they kind of need him around. He really did help them in that challenge.
And he helped with the fire. He helped to get fired.
Yes, for sure. He helped with everything. He was basically teaching them every little nook and cranny about being in the outdoors. And he made the joke that he was a Boy Scout when he was a kid, and he's probably the only one on his tribe that slept outside. And sometimes those people are kind of pariahs because they're almost too good at what they're doing. But I think Matt kind of has the grandpa energy enough where he can skate by, but he's not like he's not inept either. Like we'll cross the Big Brother here, like a Felicia or a Suri in a Big Brother confine. So I think Matt really has an advantage there.
Yeah, before you go to your next pick, Matt was way up my board. I do think he has like the most survival skills that anyone here. He's on a tribe with a bunch of non-campers, as he even said. He's like, some people here haven't camped a day in their life. They've never slept outside. I just think that I don't know if is he like directly aligned with anybody through one episode. We didn't really get any like strategy.
We didn't get any analysis from that tribe at all, really.
No,
as far as
strategy goes, at least we saw Steven, who kind of hit the ground with all paranoia. He was kind of strategizing. He was talking about, he's like, okay, who's gonna be the first to go when we get to that point? He's at least talking, a little bit short term of like who's going. Like we can't just be kumbaya. Like okay, we made fire, that's nice, but there's so much strategy that goes on in this game nowadays. If Matt was a guy who played like 15 years ago, he'd be much higher on my board. But I just didn't see any kind of like, not necessarily like, I mean, he's building strong connections. He's bonding with people. I'm sure about that. But
yeah, that's what I was going with.
I don't think
the strong connections that he was burning, and the fact that he picked up on stuff about the game that I think is really important, because you didn't get a lot of that in this episode. He was one of only a few people that at least was seeing stuff in front of him, which as easy as that sounds, a lot of these people simply can't do it. So he was again, shot in the dark. I could have got him later, but I wanted him now because I think he really has like top 8 floor. I don't know how he gets voted out early, really, unless something dramatic happens. Well, so it's really about him executing late in the game, and then we'll go from there. But I just really liked his floor compared to everyone else with his winner upside, because you saw it with some people recently, like Eva, for example, last season, had a really high floor because let's just call a spade. No one really wanted to vote her out, which is fine, but that's just kind of the issue with the whole season. But again, where as far as Matt, like obviously he can be voted out, but he has this winner upside where Eva, she was just so tied to another person, she really had no chance. It was just never going to happen unless they just were voting for the feel-good story.
Right.
So that's that. But I'll move on to my following pick after this. And I was between two here. I won't say the other person because I presume they will be picked somewhat soon. This is tough. So I'm really between two people. One of them I think can be axed really quickly, and the other I think can go just so far. You know what I'm going to do? I'm taking Riz God. I'm taking him. I don't care. I don't care.
Oh, geez.
And I will say it was between Juwan and Rizzo. And I've watched reality TV enough where I think Juwan is the guy they turn on in the inner circle. Because he's just a little bit too much of a schemer, just doing a little bit too much.
Right before the merge,
As one of our friends told us, like, we have the foresight of knowing Rizzo is on the next season of Survivor. He is on Survivor 50. It's I wouldn't necessarily call it an all-star season. It's more of like a fan favorite season. We'll call it that. So it doesn't necessarily mean Rizzo is going to do awesome in this game. But I think he has to at least make enough of an impact for him to return, and that could mean winning. And for me, with Rizzo, obviously the puzzle thing is an issue, but because they spent so much time on it, and obviously they had to, because his mini challenge with Alex was, again, putting the puzzle together and then getting the treasure, which was the wheel, which I thought was kind of funny. Rizzo, in that challenge, he could have tapped out, and I thought he was trying to tap out at many points, and then he realized, I can win this. Like, what am I doing? I'm on Survivor. I can win this. I didn't like the effort at first. And then all of a sudden, kind of the gear switched in his head where he's like, I got to do something. And
Right.
the cheating thing, that's a complaint for later. But as far as just Rizzo having enough resilience to just keep going, having the wherewithal to dig more than Alex did, which I thought was hilarious. It was like, Alex, you're in the right spot kind of the whole time. You just had to go for it. It's not going to be an inch off.
You gotta dig
the
deep.
sand. Yeah. I just like Rizzo's attitude, and here's the reason I'm picking him, Mike. And I don't know if you caught this. This was so small. This was a quick thing. I believe it was Nate. I don't remember who else was there. It could have been Savannah. It could have been Juwan. I'm not 100% clear on that, but I do have the quote written down, and I remember hearing it live and clocking it. One of them, and again, I believe it was Nate, said, quote, "He's way stronger than he thinks he is. I think he's really good at this." And I thought, to me, that was incredibly interesting because they always think that Rizzo's this poor thing that has this underdog mantra that can go far in this game. And some people would think that that's a target on that person's back. But to me, I think of that as they kind of want to bring Rizzo along as kind of this young pup, kind of, bring him out and keep him till merge. So I like his place in the game. I like how the others kind of interacted with him. And hopefully we get some actual Riz God stuff. I want to see this character develop, and I don't know if it's winner potential, but I just like how much his tribe seemed to, again, gravitate towards him. And look, the challenges have to be better. They have to be better. But that's something that maybe over time he's able to develop at least a little bit enough to get by.
Yeah, you're talking about the time when he said, if it's a puzzle, we're cooked. And that's when he was going on.
Yeah, didn't love that. Did not love that.
And obviously his tribe mates caught that. And that's when you mentioned Nate.
But Mike,
yeah,
it was a puzzle and he won. And they don't know how much he struggled in that. They don't have the benefit of seeing the video.
Alex told everybody how much. Alex told his tribe how much he struggled. Yes, but the red team.
Right. But that's a problem for merge at this point. For now, and again, that might slip through the cracks. For now, they were like, okay, Rizzo, underrated at puzzles. He said he was cooked and he won. So I think that's another good thing for his checkbox here, where he kind of was sandbagging his tribe, if you will. Yeah. Not actually, but they think he is because he won. So I just like his personality. I like his chance of at least making an impact, obviously, because he's on the next season. He has to make some sort of an impact. So I'm just going with a little bit of that.
By the way, there's 2 people on this season that are on season 15.
Yeah, who else is the other one? I don't remember.
Do you know the other person? Do you not know?
I don't remember.
Okay.
You picking them right now?
No, I'm not going to say it right now. But
okay,
my next 2 picks are going to be Alex and Jake. So I'm going to take both.
You're taking the package deal.
I'm taking the package because
I'm
hedging my bets with one of the 2. Is basically what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I figured that one of them would be gone, so I just kind of figured, okay, I'll take the remaining one. But I think Alex or Jake, and I'll take both, have set themselves up good, at least for the short term, because this blue tribe's already lost a member. They don't want to go back to tribal council, but if they do, it seems like Annie's the likely pick off there.
Yeah,
barring any beware advantages and you lose your votes, whatever that happens. But right now they're in a good spot. They're in the tight 3 with Sophie. They have the 3-2 advantage in guys over girls in that tribe, and I don't think they're going to lose. I don't think they're going to be the tribe that just completely tanks and loses 4 of their members in the first 4 weeks. I don't think that's going to be their tribe this year. But they did lose the first challenge. I'm going to take both of them because I think that they're both going to be, if they get to the merge, they're going to be the guys that win all the physical challenges. I mean, you just see this. I mean, look at this Jake guy. First of all, he's got his Canadian bond with Jeremiah, who you mentioned earlier has that good twosome with Sophie, but he's also in good. He's also in good with Jake. I mean, you heard him. He said, if I ran into him at the gym, I'd be petrified of him. But in the island, I think I'm kind of gravitated toward him. That's what Jeremiah said. He's from Toronto, and they're working together well so far. And then Alex, he obviously has this very good bond with Alex, who lost to Rizzo in that challenge. Not a great episode for Alex as far as challenge is concerned, but I think he's fine. I think he's still going to be. He still looks to me like a good physical competitor. On a tribe that needs it.
He's the more likable of the 2, for sure.
I think he's the more likable of the 2 between him and also you saw him working angles with Annie. Now he did call Annie his grandmotherly figure. He said, I have a congresswoman boss that's like a grandmother figure to me. So that was a little bit. He didn't say that to her face, but he said that in the confessional, and because she was like, please don't call me the mother figure of the tribe, because she did not want to be called that. But then in the confessional, he goes, yeah, she's like the grandmother figure.
Yeah, shocker that this 49-year-old woman wouldn't want to be called the grandmother figure of the tribe. Shocker.
Right, yeah. But you see Alex working that angle, and then you obviously hear Annie throw out his name. He's immediately ready to turn on Annie. He's like, okay, should we just vote on Annie? So I think Alex is going to be a guy that can adapt. He's also in good with Jake, like I mentioned, who might be a shield for him, because they might, if they both get to the merge, the stronger target to take out if one of these guys loses an immunity would be Jake.
Agreed.
So he's kind of in good with that. I think he could still work other angles with Sophie. And he can obviously if they do. Here's the thing with Survivor. They always do tribe swap after 3 vote outs. So right now we're at 17 people. We're at 17 people. At 15, if I know the new era like I know it, they're going to do a tribe swap of 5 tribe mates on each. So they're going to stay with 3 tribes, and they're going to do 5 each. There's going to be 15 players left, and they're going to do 5 to each. There's going to be 3 2 advantages across the board. You know how Jeff does that. So last year we saw it play out with Camilla and Kyle as the 2 minorities against the other 3, and they blindsided Thomas with Kyle's immunity. And so it's been done. You can go to a 2 to 3, and you can overcome whatever. But they always do that at Final 15. I think Alex is a guy who can survive a merge or a tribe swap because I think he's just going to be a likable guy. I really think that he's going to be a guy that people gravitate towards. Whereas with other people down this list, I don't know if I can say the same for them. So I'm going to go Alex and Jake, the 2 meatheads on the blue tribe, Kelly.
So surprisingly, they were off my board entirely because it's almost too obvious to me. Like, right. I feel like if they get split up, maybe one of them slips through the cracks, but I think the problem is the other of the 2 will just be immediately axed the second they can be, which I think, again, will be Jake. I agree with that evaluation, but I like the idea of hedging your bets there. And I'm happy this person's still on the board. This is my total wild card. So I said I took Matt as kind of a flyer because I liked his floor.
Yeah.
This person, I don't know what their floor is. I don't know what their ceiling is. They are incredibly quirky, but I think it almost works. I'm going Jason.
No. Okay. I thought you were going to go.
No, I'm going Jason on the yellow tribe. And I liked his episode as far as he was a way better competitor than I gave him any credit for being.
Right.
So good for him on that. I just really liked his effort in both challenges. He really won them, the first one as well. Like, he was an integral part of that. He was way stronger than I gave him credit for immediately looking at him. And I think he has this kind of blend of being a nerd, but it's almost like wholesome where it's not intimidating. Sometimes you see on some of these shows, the nerds get picked out immediately because they're too smart. That was a big thing after Ian and Steve won Big Brother in a few years span. We saw the next few years afterwards, pretty much anyone with a freaking pair of glasses was getting put on the block the first few weeks and voted out. Yeah. Whereas I think Jason, even though he is such an incredibly smart person, he's a law clerk, I think he always has this goofy side to him where they're not as intimidated by his intelligence and his nerd factor. So that's what I liked about him. I just think if he has a backbone and if he's a gamer, which we didn't really get to see, we have no concept of where
this yellow tribe, we got nothing. Yeah, we didn't get much from this.
Yeah, we didn't get much from them. But I'm taking the shot on him because I liked his competitiveness. And again, I think he can easily win some comps. That's what I saw immediately. Like, wow, this guy's really well-rounded. And again, incredibly likable. So those 2 things, that's 2/3 of the puzzle. Now we need to see the third. We haven't been able to see that yet. But just his background, his natural intelligence, I think he will be able to game a little bit. So that's why I'm taking him. Again, a bit of a weird pick because he's a little bit quirky. But I think it works in his favor where it doesn't work for someone else we'll get to later, who I'm sure will be a later
pick. Thought you were going to go that direction, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to take who I was debating earlier because, again, this is a super low floor but a high ceiling pick. This is Jawan now. He's been on here for a bit too long. He really does have winner potential written all over him. But again, I think of anyone getting blindsided early, I think Jawan would be the 1-1 draft pick in that. Yeah. Because I think, again, he was getting his hands in a lot of pots early throughout the Uli tribe. And I like what he had with Nate, but I don't like this holding audition thing that he's doing for the fourth
I loved it. I loved it, honestly. I actually liked it.
I like the concept of not rushing into an alliance because I think you see that where players get so hampered by that so early in the game. I think of Genevieve and Rome immediately and stuff of that nature where you just kind of align yourself with someone who you think is one thing, but then ends up being something else. Because again, this game moves so fast, you have no choice but to kind of make connections super fast without having a great picture of who these people really are. So naturally, you're going to have a bad egg here and there. So I like it from that sense. But Mike, my problem is the clear picture for the fourth is obvious. It's Rizzo. There should be no audition. Just take the kid. Just take the kid. And then it further insulates Juwan because then you have the 3-to-1 male dynamic, which again, sometimes the gender dynamics do matter. We've seen that in past seasons. I think of 47 when it was the 3 women from the Yellow tribe and then Sam. That was an immediate issue right off the bat at the end of their tribal. They realized they had to axe that when they could with Andy. So now I'm looking at Juwan where I'm like, okay, are you doing a bit too much? Is this getting a bit cute with how you're doing stuff? But I like that, again, he's playing girly. I do like that. I like that he is likable. I like that his tribe is, in my opinion, the most balanced from top to bottom.
They're pretty good.
I think they have the most balance. I immediately thought that when I saw them. So I just like what they bring to the table. And I think Juwan, him kind of spearheading everything is a little worrisome because you see a lot on Survivor. You kind of take that person out, you kind of chop their legs underneath, and you have the people under that, and that's who you really want, and that's who we've already taken. Right. But as far as Juwan, if he can play his cards right early, he has great potential later in the season.
I liked the audition he held. I think that he was on the right track. I do, because here's my thought. My mind immediately went to another red tribe, Survivor 46. The season that D won, I believe it was, when that red tribe, that foursome ran the game. It was Austin, it was D, it was Julie, Mama J, and then I forget the other guy's name, the big goofy kid with the glasses, redhead. I don't remember his name, but that 4 ran the game, and it felt like they pulled in a 4th. I forget who it was. I think it was Julie, the old lady. They pulled in her as the 4th person because obviously Austin and the other guy got along very well. Austin kind of liked D, so that kind of got them as a 3. They pulled in the 4th one, which is the motherly figure of Julie. And they kind of ran the game in the merge. So I liked where his mindset was at. He was like, okay, I could go with Nate, who's kind of like a, sneaky, he's kind of a loner. We don't really know much about him. He's kind of mysterious. I was like, yeah, you're on the right track. I think I like this. Pull him in. Because you'd say Rizzo, I would have gone with Nate. I mean, obviously I took Nate early. So if I was one, I would have been reading it as, okay, we got these 2 athletic women, Shannon and Savannah, who are playing the game early, whatever. If I'm Juwan, I want to bring in somebody who's like, kind of a polar opposite of those people. I want to bring
Mike,
in.
I don't want to cut you off, but I think what's going to happen is, and I alluded to this, it hasn't happened yet, and I should have said this is more of a prediction thing. I think it'll end up being Juwan, Nate, Rizzo, and Savannah. I think there's already kind of a motion to cut Shannon out of this.
Yeah, they're
so that's why I said the gender thing when I made that comment. That's what I was referring to. I know technically Shannon was floated in there now, but I just don't think that's going to last. There's so many breadcrumbs of everyone kind of being annoyed with her and no one connecting those dots yet. So I think eventually that'll just happen and she'll be kiboshed. But yeah, keep going.
My point of like bringing in Nate, I was thinking they already have too much quirkiness in the tribe as a whole. I mean, Sage a little unfiltered. Rizzo is obviously very quirky, as you mentioned. Shannon's a little out there. So I was thinking, more as like, okay, let's go with this mysterious guy who hasn't really shown any signs of quirkiness. Let's get that in here because we already have a tribe. Half the tribe is kind of odd, and they're a little out there. I mean, we can call it it is. So if you're Juwan and you're looking at it from that perspective, I liked where his mind was at. I mean, again, maybe those people get axed early. I totally can see that he might be a guy that just gets blindsided early, but he is at least playing. He's thinking the right way. I think he's playing the game the right way. I'm gonna go. You took an alternate in Jason. I think he mentioned it, and whenever Jeff was asking questions, I'm an alternate. I got here 12 hours ago. I didn't know I was gonna play until like literally yesterday. I'm gonna take the other alternate, MC. Didn't get a single confessional in the first episode, MC, but I'm taking MC. I don't know why. Again, we don't have anything to go off of. She barely got any airtime. I just saw her in the challenges. She's got this insane vertical. She
had an incredible performance. Yeah, she really did.
Gosh. Almost too good of a performance, but I'm like, man, if she gets to the merge, she can mess around and win some competitions, and maybe
for sure.
Maybe no one takes her seriously. They just kind of fly under the radar, get to the final 5. I don't know, but
she is a fitness trainer, Mike, so I guess that shouldn't be a surprise. But I think just watching her, just her physical prowess was unbelievable. It was really impressive.
But through one episode, the Yellow Tribe looks like they won the first challenge on the Marooning Tribe, and they didn't have to even compete in the second one with Alex versus Rizzo.
The mini one, yep.
The mini one, yeah. They already had their supplies there, and then they obviously they smoked the immunity challenge. So if she is a strong competitor, and you already took Matt, Jason's kind of sneaky athletic too. If they're winning challenges, they won't be seeing Tribal Council, and then maybe she can get to the merge without having even being in any danger, and then maybe she turns it on. I don't know. So I'm gonna take MC as like a high floor player here.
I like that pick.
I have no idea what her game is because we have no confessionals from her so far. And then I'm gonna stay on the Yellow Tribe. I'm gonna take Sophie with an IE. This is the Corinne of this season to me. I immediately connected. I'm like, whoa, that's Corinne. I see Corinne, and I saw a few of her. Again, I'm not to go back to the pre-season intro videos, but I saw her and I was like, okay, I can see something here. This seems like a girl that will make the merge, and maybe
that was my next pick. I wanted both the Sophies on the squad.
She might put her foot in the mouth at final 10 and get herself blindsided. But I like her as like to get through these early votes. I think she'll be fine. I think she'll get the merge. At this point, we're getting to the end of it, so I'm just gonna take people who I think I like floors. And I think Sophie's a person who I can see she can get herself in good with people and avoid some early votes and get to the merge. And maybe she puts her foot in her mouth, but I think she's a player this season.
So, Mike, I believe if I counted correctly, there's 5 people left. And of everyone left, I don't like anyone. That is my analysis. We are at the point where I don't like anyone left. Not a single person.
You don't like...
Okay.
Our guy Steven had a bad... Steven had a bad episode.
He had the worst episode.
He had a bad episode, but here's the thing. We were connecting dots to Andy. I was like, whoa, paranoia as you hit the beach. I've seen this before. I've seen it before. Sure. Can he turn it around? I don't know.
Mike, that is my next pick, by the way.
Okay,
it is Steven.
Yeah, there's still some people with Steven there. I'm holding out hope.
It's just the upside play here, because I think he's the only person left of now 4 people.
He knows the game. Yeah,
has any sort of semblance of being a winner at all.
It's a bad episode right now, but
he knows the game. I think he's trying way too hard. And I think you see this a lot with the really like high-end super fans. You see they come out and they've almost lived for this their whole life. So they come out and it's almost too much over preparation. And that's the vibe I got from Steven. So it was like, I never had this experience, but it reminded me of if you went to summer camp away for the first time and you're with all your buddies. Where you're just like, oh my god, is that Steve from math class? I can't believe you're here, man. That's awesome, man. Let's go hoop later, man. That's what it reminded me of. It was like this culture where he was almost a greeting person, just so happy to be there. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to reiterate that. I understand why people are excited to be on Survivor. I would be too, but you have to tone it down a little bit. And Steven did not tone it down whatsoever.
You ratcheted it up. He actually went higher. It was
yeah. Oh my god. But as you mentioned, it's one of those things where we've seen people tone it down pretty quickly. So I think again, I thought he had a terrible episode.
Yeah, he has to survive the early days, and then maybe he'll settle in. But
he had a terrible episode. He had a terrible showing as far as he was like the only person I really noticed on Yellow that didn't look great in the comps. So I thought that was a little bit of a concern. He was fine. He wasn't like bad, but I didn't think he was good either. So there's that concern. But I think he has at least a smidget of upside, and that's why I'm taking him. And now it really gets to the nitty gritty because of these 4, I want no one. But Mike, I'm going to have to do this to you. I'm going to have to take the last person of Yellow Tribe because I just like how dominant the Yellow Tribe looked early. Sure. I'm taking Christina. And again, Christina is 36. So Christina, I thought was a little bit older than that.
I did too.
Watching the episode, no offense to Christina, but I thought the reason I said that is she had a motherly vibe to her. That's why I said that. I just thought she was a tick older. That's all.
I was like, oh, Suri is back. That's what
I think that actually kind of bodes to her advantage. Actually, that she has this motherly aura, if you will, but also is a little bit younger, so she can connect to the people a little bit younger than her. And if you look at the tribe, the youngest person on the tribe, Mike, is 31 years old.
They don't have young people in the tribe,
again, they're gonna like change stuff up. Obviously, as you mentioned, they're gonna swap people around. But right now, she's honestly like just. Excuse me, MC's 29. But regardless, she's young-ish for the tribe as far as the makeup of how this is concerned. So she really is able to connect all these corners. And I just like that from a pick this late in the rounds because the other 3 people have absolutely 0.00000000000 chance of impacting this game in any meaningful way, maybe in a negative way, but not in a positive or meaningful one. So Christina, again, she comped herself to Suri, kind of, again, in a joking fashion, but I don't like when people do that. That's just kind of
greatest non-winner of all time. You can't do that. Yeah,
I think it's kind of the thing I talked about earlier with Savannah, where I said, like let's stop with the talking. Let's just do it. And again, if you're calling your shots early and you're hitting and you keep talking that way, okay, I'm totally fine. I actually like that. But if you're not doing anything, okay. So Christina allegedly has this kind of gamer side, this dark side, if you will, to her game to complement this motherly side. So I like that in theory. I like that dichotomy, but can we just see it, please? Again, it's one episode. There's plenty of time to see it. I just want to see more. And now, Mike, you have the privilege of taking two of the three people here.
I'm going to leave you with the last pick.
Yeah. And we both know who that is. So go make great arguments for these two red gals over here.
No, so I'm taking Jeremiah.
Oh, you're not doing that.
No, I'm taking Jeremiah.
Oh, Mike, I apologize. I forgot he was there. Poor Jeremiah.
I forgot he was there. So I didn't even have him in the bottom three. So I was kind of fortunate he was still here. I think there's some obvious duds.
Yeah.
I guess I have to take Annie or Sage. I'm taking Jeremiah because, like I said back earlier, I think Jeremiah is in good with the other Canadian on his tribe from Edmonton, Jake. So he's got the Canadian thing there. He's from Toronto, Jake from Edmonton. So they have the Canadian vibe there. He's also
poor Jeremiah, Mike. I would have taken him. I forgot he was there. That's okay. I like my pick.
Jeremiah, he kind of slid here because no one knows he's there. I think in the game, he might also be able to snake by because no one knows he's there.
Exactly it. Yeah.
So he might just find him like, oh, Jeremiah's in the final six. Did you know Jeremiah's in the final six? It's like, no, he's just sitting here. So I like Jeremiah as like the Mitch of this season. He's like, yeah, he's just still hanging around. He's just gonna make it far a little bit.
Good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes. Yeah, everyone likes him so far. I mean, he turned on the other the other LGBTQ plus person on this tribe in Nicole, but he's still, like I said, he's still good with the other Canadian guy, Jake. I'm trying to remember these names. He's still good with Sophie. I think he can work well with Alex. Annie's kind of the odd person out there. I guess I have to take Annie as my last pick. I mean, this is really bad. I have to take Annie. I'm not taking Sage. I refuse to take Sage. Too much for me. Annie, can she get it together? Pink hair, not really for me either. But she says she's run marathons. She's like done stuff that is harder than Survivor, according to her. Can she get the ship rowed? I think Annie right now needs a tribe swap. I think Annie's on she's lost at sea and she needs a life raft. Someone needs to send an olive branch to her because Alex was like, hey, I'm going to work with you, final two. And then Alex is in with a bigger 4. So she's kind of screwed there. She's left on an island. If they go back to tribal, she's done, barring some beware advantages. But I think if she gets a tribe swap, maybe Annie can kind of, instill that. I know she doesn't want to, be the mother stigma, but maybe she can kind of work in well with some people, be like a, a nice little, vote. She can be a vote for somebody. If she gets on a tribe where it's like a 2-2-1 and she's the one, maybe she's the swing vote. I don't know, but
no,
I'm not taking Sage. Sage sticks out like a sore thumb, and I'm not gonna.
Mike, you got me right back. You forgot someone because I would have taken this person before Annie. Oh. I'm taking Shannon right now.
Oh, that's right, Shannon. Oh,
the Boston, Mass-ish native. So we have that in common.
Oh, so I have to have Sage. Oh no.
No, so Sage is gonna go undrafted. That's how we're doing this.
Okay,
we're doing 8 and 8. So she's just undrafted. Thanks for coming, Sage. We'll get to her in a second. But as far as Shannon's concerned, I liked where she was heading for about 3.5 minutes. That's where I was like, okay, she's in a good spot. People really like her. Yeah, she kind of, she's a bit much for me, but again, She kind of has the good vibe. She's peak like modern Survivor. She has that going for her. She's fit clearly, and I think she was making decent connections. And then all of a sudden, we get the confessional with Savannah where they're doing the yoga on the beach. Her eyes are wide open, and she's like,
"Yeah,
what are we doing? This is ridiculous. This is not Survivor." I agree, by the way, but again, you can have a little fun, Savannah.
Hey, I mean,
Coach, it's morning yoga. You don't have to scheme at 7 a.m. It's okay.
We got Coach on season 50, so we better prepare for more yoga sessions in the morning.
Yeah, okay? God forbid people want to zen at an early hour with the sunrise in Fiji. Like Christ. But anyway, Shannon, I think it's just going to be a little bit too much. That's my analysis. And again, we share the same home state. I want to root for her. I want her to do well. But some of the times with people like this, the aura people, the yoga people, they mean incredibly well, but it just doesn't jive, especially on a game of this nature, this cutthroat game. They would be super nice if they were your Pilates instructor, but they're not necessarily nice to be a tri-mate on Survivor. So again, that's why Shannon went technically last in the draft. Sage goes undrafted, a UDFA here for Sage. And you couldn't have had a worse Survivor debut as far as a taking you seriously or just even wanting to root for you in any form or fashion. She kind of missed every single mark. It was some will call it quirky. I'll just call it what it is: disgusting. Like, what are you
Weird.
doing? Like, what?
Very weird.
Maybe get that checked out, like all of it, like the burping all the time, the peeing all. Like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening? You're a grown woman. Can you just chill?
Survivor has there's a few cast members every year that they have. I'm like, did you have to did we who checked through that?
Yeah,
we had
did the casting there?
We had Banu a few years ago, who I was like, this is the worst. I've never seen a cast member this bad at any game, reality TV, whatever. I'm like, this guy should not be on an island with people. He's gonna hurt somebody. He's off the rails. So this is a guy who I don't know how he made it through the mental health stages of getting to this game. She's out there, no doubt about it. She's kind of like the one in this cast. Well, there's a few in this cast, really, but she's kind of, we didn't really have to see Sage in this season of Survivor. We could have got her on. Well, we don't need her on any show, but we definitely need her on Survivor. I'll tell you that.
No. So
by the way, go back to Shannon here for a second.
Yeah.
I liked her for the first 3 minutes too. She gave me a little bit of Allison vibes from David vs. Goliath, the season that Mike White was on, where she's like kind of like the health person, and she's kind of got this
the crunchy granola people, we call that in college.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. I mean, I think she'll be able to mingle well with people until the time comes where she gets it's a cutthroat game. It just is what it is, and I don't like her as like the person leading the cutthroat, the cutthroatiness, if you will. So I'm not gonna. I did have her one spot ahead of Annie, so I don't know how I missed her, but I would have taken her over Annie. But nonetheless, she's not anyone I'm gonna lose sleep over not having.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lose sleep over her being on
she's
my
your
team
last
because
pick.
she's just going to be gone. So.
Yeah, by the way, if Sage wins this game, how unbelievable. We picked 8 each. You have 8 on your team. I have 8 on my team. If the winner of this season is Sage, which I can't.
I will wake up from my weird dream that I had and be confused on why that happened. But in reality, she has no chance. But Mike, we'll quickly run through the team. So again, I had the first pick. I went Sophie with an I, Matt, Rizgod, Jason, Jawan, Steven, Christina, and Shannon. For you started with Nate, Savannah, Alex, Jake, MC, Sophie with an E,
yes.
Jeremiah, and Annie. So that is our 8 each that we just had. We will see how we do at the end of the season. Mike, I just want to say, I'm on a bit of a hot streak here because I did this with my friends. I had Kyle in my fantasy league, so that was good. And then with my friends, just some of my buddies here, we each took a man and a woman on Big Brother. I had Zach, but I also had Morgan, who is by far the runaway favorite to win Big Brother right now. So hopefully she gets it done. I'm on a bit of a roll here, so hopefully... Well, hey, let's make it 3 for 3. It doesn't matter. Hey, we picked 8 people each, so we have a great chance of picking the winner. Hopefully, it's one of our earlier picks that will look a hell of a lot better. Yeah. And it's not one of these bottom feeders here at the end of the draft that we were just like, oh my God, who are we taking at this point?
That would be an underdog story if we have a 7th round draft pick that wins the game. That would be.
Yeah, but Mike, I wanted to wrap up today with this. So we talked a lot about the episode retrospectively through just talking about the players and just talking about like what we thought of them. So obviously you got a gist of what we thought of the episode throughout. But this isn't necessarily about the show, even though this season will come into it. We're doing this with Big Brother later in a few days, but we'll do it with Survivor now because I think it's really important. I don't know what this show's supposed to be anymore. In Big Brother, I think the fixes are much easier. I think they're much more clear. In Big Brother, actually, the ratings are better this season. I believe they're almost up a quarter in their viewership. Yeah, Rachel, of course, helped, but that kind of bump, that gives you a lot of leeway. So that's great for them. Whereas Survivor, their ratings have been fine, and that's not what we're talking about. But I think the show, more so than Big Brother, has just lost its identity completely. And I think that was so apparent throughout this episode. I don't know what to blame it on, but we'll start with this, Mike. I'll kick us off here. Here's my biggest problem with the show, and I alluded to it off the top, but I'll get into it more now. There's this notion that everyone on Survivor has to be the biggest fan of Survivor, but also have a sob story. It has to be that combination of people, and it doesn't matter what the sob story is. It can be anything from the following things. Someone in your family has cancer.
Yeah.
Your wife is giving birth to your child
Right now.
while you're on the island. Yeah, that's awesome. Good for
works.
them.
Welcome to the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
It can be your identity, a crisis with your sexuality or whatever, how you identify, something of that nature. It can be ageism. It could be, do I still got it, kid? That kind of thing that happens when you reach a certain point. It could be the other way. The finding yourself because you're so young. You had such a tough life. You're 22. You just went to college. You had the best time of your life. But hey, you're young, so it's going really tough right now. You don't really know what's next. It could be, well, let me think. It could be something as weird as, you're peeing all the time. You can't stop. It's happening so much. It's actually affecting your game because everyone's like, what's going on there? So it can literally be anything at all. And Mike, here's my favorite thing. It could be a sub story that's not even related to you, which I think happened a lot the last few seasons.
Your girl Sophie had her sob story is that her grandmother got her to watch Survivor and she thought Jeff Probst was really good looking, and Jeff was like, yes, that's good enough.
Yes.
You're on.
It could be your grandmother fled a country 100 years ago. It could be something like that, which again is traumatic for your grandmother.
Not
and
for
it's
you.
Definitely sad, and you can feel empathy towards your grandmother. But what does that have to do with you winning Survivor? I don't understand. So this notion that everyone needs just this big story. What happened to I'm Shannon? I'm a fitness instructor. I like auras, and I'm ready to win Survivor, and I'm ready to play the game. That is seemingly gone. We saw that from Savannah. We saw that from Sophie with an I. That was literally it. That is 2 of the original 18 people that we saw immediately. Now, I'm not saying that other people won't have that mantra as the game goes along, and I'm not saying that we won't see that in the next few episodes with people that didn't have as many confessionals as those 2. But Mike, it's just so concerning because it's like, why are you here? Are you here for the experience? That's fine. You want to enjoy yourself with whatever you do, but you should be there to win. That should be the ultimate goal. And for a long time, that was never a question when you watch these shows. Everyone wanted to win. Even if you thought someone didn't really have a chance or was a little incompetent. Like Mike, I'm rewatching BB10 right now. Jerry's on there. He's 75 years old. Okay?
Jerry, yep.
People would look at that guy and say he has no chance to win at all. Jerry played his you-know-what off throughout that entire game. He tried super hard, okay?
He almost won.
And so did Remy, who was another older person on that season. They tried. And again, you sometimes judge these people immediately based off their age or whatever in either direction. But there was a point where everyone wanted to win. And even something as shallow as that didn't matter because you would see people overcome that time in and time out. And now it's so easy to put these people in a box because it's the same stuff over and over and over again. And it's just so frustrating because, Mike, I just don't know. It's such a philosophy flaw. I don't know how they're going to change it.
Well, Survivor used to be the ultimate social experiment. You have these 18 castaways from different walks of life that need to adapt and then vote each other out. That's literally the name of the game. They're totally random strangers. There's no, they have to have this. They have to check this box. They have to have a sob story. They need to be this. They need to be that. The Survivor eras of the 40s nowadays are completely sob stories. I don't even know if they're going to be good Survivor players, but they have a great story. So they're going to be able to tell their story on the show. And that's fine, but it doesn't make for the best Survivor seasons. I mean, if you just look up the old seasons of Survivor, you have these players that have no kind of any background of what did you do here? What traumatic experience did you go through to get on the show? We want to hear it. It's like, no, they're strangers and they're looking to get $1 million. I mean, we got the Russell Hansons of the world. We get the Parvati Shallows of the world. They didn't have any kind of sob story to get on the show. They just were good players and they made it on. They're total strangers. I mean, I was rewatching Token Chains the other day, and the intro to that Survivor season is Tyson, immediately judging this brunette looking girl and being she just comes off as she's gonna be the rude person of this tribe, basically. This is, she just looks, so uptight or whatever. Just initial impressions. Now it's all kumbaya. It's well, what is your experience back home? It's is your family going through this traumatic event? It's what is that? That's not Survivor. This is a cutthroat game. I want to see people, not again. I know we've gone through the judging phase of things, but this is all first impressions. I want to see people going at each other. This is a drama. This is a reality TV show at the end of the day, and it's for $1 million. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. And we have lost that, it seems. In this. I mean, I was watching. This is a parody, of course, but I was watching the Tommy Smokes 36 hours Survivor experience, And after it was done, Jeff said, "Okay, if you really want to get on the show, though, you need to people were saying Tommy smokes for season 51 of Survivor." And Jeff was like, "Okay, well, let me hear your story. Let me hear your elevator pitch, if you will." And Tommy was talking for like 2 minutes, and Jeff was like, "There's no good story here. How am I going to cash you? There's nothing here to work with." He was kind of half joking, but at the end of the day, I was like, "Jeff, there doesn't have to be like this. You don't need to have this. Well, me and my dad were playing jigsaw puzzles in Survivor when we were 4 years old." Because eventually Tommy did say that. He said, me and my dad went in our basement. We were playing big jigsaw. And then Jeff was like, "Yes, that's it. That's what I want to hear." It was kind of like making a mock of like how you can get cash on Survivor nowadays. But that's basically what Tommy said. He was like, "Yeah, me and my dad, we had this like strong bond when we were, young, and I was, but that's not really what people want to see on Survivor. We don't care. I mean, yes, it's nice that we learn these people through that way, but I just want to watch 18 random strangers that I have no background information on play the game. That's what I want to watch. That's what it used to be about. And it overall made the best seasons. I mean, we got like, Boston Rob. I mean, we're not really finding any Boston Robs anymore because, what stories do they have? It's not, there's not like that's usually where you find the best players. I mean, I'm not saying that no one in this crop can come out and be like a great player. Obviously, we see there's a handful of people that look like they're ready to play the game. But for the most part, these new era seasons is just like it's a lot, of the same. It's more of the same. Like every single season, we get these cast members who have this thing, and it doesn't become like a new thing anymore. I know when Survivor first implemented the first paraplegic woman to play Survivor, and it was last year. Eva was the first autistic person to play Survivor. They had the first transgender person to play Survivor, I believe, a few years back. But they're breaking into new norms. And that's totally fine. But when it's every season, it doesn't feel like it's a new norm. It feels like it's more the same. And ultimately, I think that's where we're going wrong. We're not getting the 18 random strangers. It's not random anymore necessarily when you do these exact same teams every single season of the same people generally. It's
Mike, I want to compare it to this because to me, it's just so inauthentic. And I want to make this comparison. So we obviously just went to college, right? And we went to 2 major schools. And one of the first things you do, whether it's, every year or when you first get there as a freshman, you go around and you meet people, whether it's in a class or your dorms or whatever, and you kind of have the same conversation a ton of times, okay? Yeah. And you kind of just talk, you kind of feel people
socialize.
Out.
Yeah.
And you socialize. And it's not a game, but what you're doing in a way is a game because you're basically trying to test these people. Do I want to hang out with them? Do I think this person's a bit too much for me? Am I, attracted to this person? Whatever it may be, it is in a way a game. It's just not for $1 million, okay?
Right.
Whereas I understand if some of these people, again, have gone through traumatic experiences or they have some disability or something, I understand saying that eventually or whatever. But my problem is where it's every single person. Some of it, again, as we mentioned, are not even relevant to that person. It's like they're just trying to one-up each other by saying something sadder that maybe isn't even related to like them in their actual life. And it's usually just all in a row. It's immediate, and it's not natural because it's again, this idea of trying to gain sympathy where, if Juwan said something sad, now I have to see something even sadder. So that way I also have the same sympathy. And it almost just becomes a net nothing. It's not a net positive. It's not a net negative. It's a net nothing because it just kind of all is an even playing field at this point. Like, we're not going to get to the point where at the end of the season, we're going to look at Rizzo and be like,
what a story.
I don't know if Rizzo had a sadder story than Juwan, so I don't know if we can vote for him.
People with that story. Exactly. I want to make this comparison. Yeah, real quick to make this comparison. We used to have it to where, I don't know if you remember Jeremy, who was from Survivor Cambodia, Survivor Blood vs. Water. He's the UMass guy, firefighter, Boston, big Patriots fan. He played Blood vs. Water, Second Chance. He played Blood vs. Water first, then he played Second Chance, and he won the game in Survivor Second Chance in Cambodia. And he got to the end of the game, and then he said, guys, right as we speak, my wife Val is having a kid. He didn't say it right when he got to the island. He kept it the entire 39 days. She went on the loved one's visit with him.
Because it's not really relevant.
It's not relevant at all. And if you say it immediately, you normally get a target on your back. You're like, I don't want to sit next to that guy in Final 3. If I have to go next to Jeremy with his story, I'm going to lose 9-0. And guess what? They all lost 9-0 to Jeremy. But you don't want to use that card on like day one. And on day one, usually, at least in these confessionals and to people in the tribe, they're like, hey, here's what I'm going. I mean, you saw Jake. He's like, yeah, my wife's giving birth like in the next week or two, and I'm on the show right now. She's like, yeah, just go live out your dream. No one's going to want to vote out Jake early. However, you don't want to sit next to Jake in Final 3. With that story, there's no way. No one wants to do that. So when you have like 10 of these stories each season, it becomes a little bit convoluted. It's like, well, what are we doing here? with all these like sob stories. And again, these aren't necessarily sob stories.
And Mike, I just want to say something real quick, because there's going to be a comment that's going to say, well, that's part of talking to people. And it is, obviously. When you get to know someone, sure, you start to open up about yourself, and something might trigger something and whatever. Yeah, you're going to share a lot about yourself. But when you're at an orientation of sorts, when in your entire life have you been at an orientation of sorts and said, my grandma was fleeing a war or whatever, something of that nature? What? Like, it's clearly intentional for Survivor. And even with Big Brother, it doesn't even happen. That doesn't even happen immediately off the bat. That's, again, a progression. If something happens or whatever, they're like, oh my God, I'm sad because I miss my mom. And she was dealing, like, it's natural. And that's how the actual world works. You mentioned it was, for many, many years, it was built as this ultimate social experience. Now it's a parody of itself because it's so ridiculous. And it's so disheartening, because it's like, okay, there are clearly people here who are massive fans and really want to play the game, but we can write down right now why every single person was cast, and that is a problem.
That's a problem.
Because sometimes there just shouldn't be a reason.
They need to be random. No, just random person. And that almost
and Mike, it's reality TV, so obviously they want characters, and I get that. But you know what's a good character? A regular guy that just wants to win a game, a regular gal that just wants to win a game. Either they can be any color, any orientation. I don't care. I don't care about their backstory. I don't care about their race. I don't care about who they like. I don't care about any of that. All I want is for them to want to win the game. That is it. That is all I care about, and that's all anyone should care about, because that's what makes Survivor great, especially in the past. Mike, you've seen, I believe, most of the seasons.
I've seen every season.
You've seen every season, right?
Besides like 4. I believe I did not see Vanuatu or the Amazon. Sorry.
Okay, so outside of 47, are there any other New Era seasons that even crack your like top 10?
Oh, top 10?
Yeah. Does 47, by the way? I assume 47 does, right? At least it's in the neighborhood.
The one with Sam, Rachel, Genevieve, Andy. That was a good season, yes. I actually enjoyed last season, but no, it doesn't crack the top 10.
Right.
But I enjoyed last season. I did think it was a lot of kumbaya, but I generally thought that the people who were playing the game were playing it well. I thought Kyle played a really fantastic game. He didn't turn on people, and he still won the game. So I thought overall, like, the Christies of the world, the people at the bottom were like, you guys need to make a move. It's like, well, no, they really don't, because they're going to win the game the way it's going. But I get a lot of people say, they're like, oh, it's boring. It's obvious vote outs, which is fine if you want to blindside every week. But the people that were in control played the game correctly, which is why I'm not going to, shun their season and the way they played. I'm not going to shun Joe for like not turning on Eva. It's like, why would he do that? He's like, why would he ever do that? Why would he turn on his number one? I know everyone wants to do that nowadays. But no, outside of 47, there is not a single one that even would come close to top 10. No.
Yeah. That's a problem.
It's a problem.
That's literally a problem. And I think there was a lot of skepticism, especially when 50 came out, because I think a lot of people thought it would be the best of the best. 50 is kind of this promotional season, and this is the last time, because when you get to 100, it'll be a whole different type of cast. There will be 50 people after that, obviously. Yes. That's when we'll be way older. By then, we'll be in like our 50s, probably 60s.
Jeff won't be hosting anymore now.
No, not at all. So 50 was kind of like their banner moment for the modern history of the show, the first like iteration of the show. That's it. It's 50. It's the pinnacle. And it became this kind of like, okay, we're going to pick people who embody the spirit of the game. But at the same time, it was really only people that were like happy kumbaya people. So then they were like, okay, does that really embody the spirit of the game? Because Survivor is about a lot more than just the happy people. You need the heroes, you need the villains, you need the anti-heroes, you need everything in between. And I think they missed the mark on that. And that's when a lot of red flags came up. And now you're seeing, and look, it's not the first red flag came up. This whole era has been a giant red flag. But I think the 50 cast reveal, I think people thought there'd be a shift, like a definitive shift.
Yeah.
And it might have to come after that. We can only hope. But right now, it's like, this might just be more of the same for a little while until something happens.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like 40s, and it's not specifically because of the cast, even though I think that they've been casting generally the same people every year. I think that the game has gone in a different direction now. Where
transition to this, because this is good.
It's transitioned into this beware advantage. You're going to lose your vote every tribal if you don't risk it for some reason, even though you don't. They slowly started doing this in the 30s. I don't know if you were too upright with the 30s.
Yeah, I remember a little bit of it. Yeah,
they had these things where they would have to send one person to. Now they call it a journey. Before then they would just call it like send them to to go on some whatever it is. I don't know what they called it back then, but they did it, and they had a choice to whether or not you wanted to like break the urn and see what's inside of it. Maybe you get an advantage, maybe you get a disadvantage, whatever it is. But you have the option to do it or not. Now it's like you literally are doing there. You have to do like a puzzle. Like there's no like not playing it because some people will be smart. They're like, I'm not going to risk this. Why would I risk? I'm in a good position in the game. Why would I ever do whatever you have to earn something or to possibly lose a vote or lose an idol, whatever it is. But now it's like there's no turning it down. You have to do this, whatever it is, puzzle against somebody or against yourself, against the timer, hourglass, whatever it is. And if you don't, you lose your vote or you lose something else. It just throws a wrench in the strategy of the game. We've had, I think last season we had a tribal council. There was like 2 votes cast. There was only 2 votes cast in the tribal. There was like 4 people there. It's like, how is this happening? We had one person put their shot in the dark. I believe it was Mary. We had another guy, the pizza guy, lost his vote on the journey, whatever.
Which was so stupid. Yeah,
he didn't even want to do it. He was in the majority 3-1. Why would he ever even want to risk his vote in that scenario in a tribe of 4 when he's in the majority 3? So Mary plays her shot in the dark and she gets saved. She doesn't vote obviously. So if you play the shot in the dark, you can't vote. So that's another wrinkle. They added the shot in the dark in season 41, whatever it is. But there's so many avenues now. They've changed the game with the advantages and the idols, which they went heavy to in the 30s. They did a lot of advantages and idols in the 30s, but they didn't have this ultimatum of you have to do this or you lose your vote. Like there's no choice. You do it and you're gonna probably lose your vote eventually. But everyone is losing their vote nowadays. It's throwing a wrench in the strategy of the game plan, which is why I think we've hit a dip in strategy level. Everyone wants to strategize on the island, but you can't really do it when there's these other factors in the game now that Jeff is like adding in of like, oh yeah, you have to send a person to the tribe to this journey, and you have to do the challenge. If you lose the challenge, guess what? You lose your vote. And now the strategizing that the social experiments, the social bonds that you built people now no longer even matter because you don't have your vote, which is the most important thing in the game. It's like
2 things, Mike. One, I think one of the worst parts is a lot of these advantages too. It's like you send the one person out and whatever, and they get this advantage, but it's immediately handed to them, and I don't like that. I miss like give them coordinates to an idol or something like that. Don't just hand them something that is way too overpowered because they magically just were chosen to go on the journey. Like I think that's so dumb. To go to the, and as much as I love Rachel as a winner, that kind of like was annoying watching 47, where Rachel again had this awesome power that she knew she had that supplemented her game. And it was like, yeah, she earned it, of course, because she won the challenge. But at the same time, it was like it was a handout because she was just randomly chosen, and she was great at puzzles. So
it was like that. See, I was talking about the one on the auction where she gets the thing. And it's
yes, that as well. Yes. So it happened twice. It literally happened twice, and we both forgot about it. That's how bad it is.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, can we please just like tone it down because these games in their simplest forms with minor twists at key points are way better than these major twists consistently
all the time.
Because then, Mike, it's just not a twist. It's a just facet of the game. Yeah. And real quick, I just wanted your opinion. Where are you at with a shot in the dark? Because I know it was such a point of contention at first, and now people I think are just over it. Where are you at with it now?
I'm a little over it because it's totally random. There's no, I know Survivor's a game of luck as well. You have to have some luck involved, but there is something to say about, if you can find an idol, find an idol. And now they're just giving people idols at this point. If you just go on these beware, they might just give you something. So there's ways to save yourself. Shot in the dark is like another way. It's like a 5th way to save yourself in this game. So it's almost like if Big Brother had like 2 vetoes and 2 blockbusters. It's like, okay, we don't need that much. We don't need. We're over the blockbuster, I think, in Big Brother, especially how long it went on.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we do that video. Yeah.
Right, but Survivor's got this. There's so many avenues now to save your game. Shot in the dark. And now it's a 1 in 6 shot, but it's just like it's totally random. It rarely ever happens. When it does, it throws a wrench into everything. You don't vote. It's just I don't like it because when someone plays a shot in the dark, I'm assuming they're all gonna get piled votes on them. So it's either they're safe, and that's crazy when it happens, sure. But when they're not safe, it's like, okay, they're gonna get voted out 9-0 because they don't have their vote. So it's like it just does. There's not really any. I know they wanted it for like the flair of the dramatics, when it happened with Caleb back in Survivor 44, 45, whatever it was, and he got like 12 votes cast against him. It was like the most ever since Kelly Wentworth. He had like 10 votes cast against him, whatever it was. That was fine. That was cute. But overall, I'm over it. We don't need to see it in the 50s. That was a thing for the 40s. Shot in the dark 40s, nice. But in the 50s, let's get away from that. Let's just go back to like basic stuff, which made the game so good in the first place. We don't really care about Shot in the darks, really. It's cool every now and then, but like we don't need to see it every tribal.
My problem more than anything are the fake teases. Like they were just panning in on Nicole. Not once did I think she was playing it.
I'm a money. Wait, real quick on that. I'm a money laundering investigator, so I know when people are lying to me. So I'll play my shot in the dark if anything funny goes down. Oh, really? Well, nothing. You got blindsided and you didn't play it, so nothing funny went down. But just like 20 seconds. This whole era of Survivor now, to put a bow on the era of Survivor, everyone nowadays is like, oh, as a this, what I did before, I can do this at the game. It's like, oh, because I'm doing this in my profession, this will translate to Survivor. I can tell when people are lying because I walk my dog outside. Like, what correlation people like Nicole? I'm a money laundering investigator, so I know what to do in this situation. What that you've never been on an island before? This that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Like, how do these people with their professions? It's like, oh, as a lawyer, I'm going to be able to really, like, I don't get it. I'm over the as a profession, I can do this really well at a Survivor.
Right.
Like, stop, please.
Mike, two things. One, lying about embezzlement and lying about, I don't know, a vote are two very different things. It is much easier to just lie like, yeah, I'll vote with you, than to be like, oh yeah, I've smuggled in $1 million into my bank account. Like, I think those are two tiny different things. And one has jail implications, and one has literally
just getting voted off the island
at all. Yeah. So great job there. And then the other thing is like, yeah, would we go on and be like, oh my god, I'm an emerging podcast host, so they're gonna know I'm good with my words. So I have to be a kindergarten teacher because they'll think I'm good with children, but not adults, which will be in my favor because they'll underestimate my social ability. Like, what are you talking about? It's so stupid.
Or it's like, I'm a gardener, so they're going to know I'm going to be good with like finding idols, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to notice things. And I'm like, what is going on with these basic, professions of people just
so dumb. It's so ridiculous.
I can't with it. But
yeah, I think, Mike, we spent a lot of time on that, and I'm glad we did. Sure. We'll definitely do, perhaps at the end of 49 here, a way how to fix Survivor more in depth, more nooks and crannies of just getting to the nitty gritty of it. But I'm excited to cover this season. It looks like, I don't want to jinx it, but it looks like the cast is subpar for sure, in my opinion. But I think there's enough tension already that we could get a good season. And I think there's enough gamers where if they can start taking shots across the bow, maybe other people can kind of mix themselves in there. And hopefully we get somewhere positive.
Well, real quick, Jeff said that this season, he teased last season as like the duo season. He said that before the season started, so I was like, okay, we're in for some good duos, good partners.
Like, kind of, but not really. But yeah,
we saw Joe, Eva, Kyle, Camille. You saw some duos, whatever. This season, he said it's gonna turn up late in the game. He's like, this is a good late surge to the end of. Like, I'm like, okay, thanks for teasing that. So I guess he means it's gonna be a slow start. We're gonna get some obvious vote outs, possibly. I'm just assuming. But he's like, it's a good late game, run to the finish line of it's post merge. The ratcheting, the game ratchets up. Is what he's, I guess, implying. But like you said, I think there's enough gamers on this season that'll keep me interested and keep me entertained, even though the cast, I agree with you, it's kind of subpar right now.
And Mike, I think we could have came to that conclusion anyway. Just looking at this cast, like I think that's kind of obvious. Like, you have 4 or 5 really strong people, and then you have a lot of filler. So I think it's obvious that, like, okay, late game, that's what we're waiting for. But hopefully, like, I immediately saw yellow and thought, it was like, oh man, like, is this going to be Green Tribe from last year? Like, are these people going to be able to do anything? And then it turned out that was blue. So we'll see now with them kind of axing Nicole and them being stronger. We'll see how comps go. But again, this all matters for like a week or two, and then you're going to shuffle everything around, and then you're going to go to merge. There's a lot of shuffling the deck, and that's fine. But I think it kind of de-emphasizes the beginning of the game because it's more of like just finding 3 people to latch on to for dear life, and then the rest doesn't really matter. So hopefully, maybe they will change something for us, Mike. I have no faith they will, but hopefully something goes in the right direction. Real quick, before we wrap up, Big Brother, we're going to review the finale. We both have Morgan, right? Like,
I know who won the part 1 of the HOH, so I'm not going to say anything, but I know who won the part 1 of the HOH.
Morgan. She wins. It wasn't Morgan?
No.
Who won it?
Ashley.
Mike, that can't be right. Ashley won the part 1 of
I don't know if it was part 1 or part 2, but she's in the second stage. I don't know if they did part 2 already, but
maybe she won the second. There's no way she won an endurance comp against Morgan and Vince. There's zero.
Morgan and Vince. That would be surprising. But I'm being told that she has a 50-50 chance of going to final 2. She's in the final part of the HOH. Is what I'm being told.
Okay, so she probably won part 2.
It's a mental comment. She's probably good with mental. Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah. That makes much more sense.
That probably is what it is. But she's going to the final part of the HOH, which means that she has a chance to do the funniest thing, which means she can win the HOH in the final 3. Because the part 3 HOH, real quick, is all mental comp. It's all questions.
Well, yeah, Mike, and she has to have an advantage in this because if you think about it, it's a lot of the people that she was so close to throughout the game that she talked to. It's going to be Will. It's going to be Ashley. Excuse me. It's going to be Ava. It's going to be Rachel. It's going to be a lot of people that she was really close to throughout this entire game. So that'll be very interesting. Yeah, I think she might have an edge. And then at that point,
part 3, who would she take? I don't know.
Vince, for sure.
She couldn't.
She knows Morgan. She knows Morgan's.
We said that the only way that Ashley wins is she's next to Vince, because I don't think we ever thought Ashley Ava final 2. I mean, I know you had Morgan Ava final 2. There's no way that Ashley.
Yeah, the only way Ava was getting to the final 2 is if Morgan realized that Vince had too much of a resume, and I think she really teased it in one of these past few episodes where she's like, I don't know if I want to sit next to him at this point.
Yeah.
So that has crossed her mind, but yeah, no, there was no way it was gonna be Ashley Ava.
So if Ashley wins, she probably takes Vince, and does she win? I think maybe she does. We said Vince can only win against Ava. I mean, I don't know at this point.
Oh, okay. You want to know my analysis on this? And I hate to do this. I hate to do this. Seriously.
Uh-oh.
Rachel's vote will determine who wins the entire season because Rachel will be able to flip enough people. I think Will's an automatic vote for Ashley in that situation. I think Ava is as well. But I think Rachel's vote is so integral to how kind of those people on the fringe will vote, just because, like Keanu, I think his vote could be definitely tied. I think Kelly's vote could be tied to an extent to Keanu's, and it just kind of goes from there. Lauren's. So it'll be really interesting because both at that point would kind of have the same amount of support on each side of the aisle. So,
but I think Keanu would vote for whoever takes out Morgan. I think he said in his exit interview, he's like, the resume right now, Vince can't win the game unless he takes out Morgan. I think Ashley, he didn't get too deep into Ashley's thing, but he said Morgan's a runaway to win the game. And Vince has got to do something to earn my vote back. He didn't even really mention Ashley, but if Ashley is the one to take out Morgan, because obviously Vince can't win the final HOH at this point, then, maybe Ashley has that big resume.
Is her resume good enough, though? It's final HOH. It's the first veto. It's taking out Morgan. Is that good enough? Because taking out Morgan is literally just winning one comp, which is like kind of, but to me, that doesn't really count. Do you count that it's taking someone out? To me, not really.
No,
not
but
really.
It would be more so not taking out Morgan. It'd be taking Vince, who has burned Keanu. He has burned Kelly. He's burned... Will, I don't think would vote. Obviously, Will would vote for Ashley. That's a no-brainer.
Burned Lauren.
Ashley would already have 3. Yeah, he's burned Lauren. So I think Ashley would already have 3. And I think obviously Morgan would vote for Vince, but I think Ava would obviously vote for Ashley. So Ashley would have 4 if she would have cut out Morgan, because you're taking.
My problem is, Mike, it could be. Let's see if I can do this off the dome. Morgan, Lauren, Keanu, Kelly. That's 4 right there, and then Vince needs a 5. And I think he can easily get those 4.
No. It's a 7-person jury, so you only need 4.
Oh, yes, you're right, because past it's been 9, this season 7. Yeah, so that's it. That's Vince's 4. He could easily swing that.
But I don't think Vince has Keanu's vote as of right now. I think Morgan, if Vince gets dragged in final 2, would
Here's my problem, Mike. I remember him saying that. My problem is, when has Keanu ever really went against Vince? Is he really going to do it the last possible second? I don't know.
He went out on good terms with Ashley. So, and if Ashley's the one who's smart enough to take out Morgan, I think Keanu would honor, be like, hey, she did something that no one else was willing to do. Vince was too scared to do it. I wanted to do it. And I think ultimately she would have Ava for sure. She would have Will for sure. She only needs to get 2. And I think Keanu's flippable. And I think while Kelly obviously hates her, I think she also is kind of over Vince. And she said Morgan gets what Morgan wants. Well, if someone took out Morgan, I think Kelly would be like, hey, I'll go for whoever took out Morgan. I don't know. Kelly's a wild card vote. But I think Ashley, if she was to do that, would have a real shot.
Mike, real quick, out of 100%, give me the breakdown and percentage of the last 3 people to win the game.
Oh, gosh. I think it's still Morgan, like 70%.
And
I think it's probably 15% Ashley, 10% Vince. I don't think Vince is going to
win. With this information, I think it's 40% Morgan. I think her odds are way worse because I think Ashley has a legit shot at winning this comp. And you want to know what I can already envision? I can envision it's tied. The last person to speak is Lauren, and of course, Morgan gets it wrong.
Morgan's jealousy. She's like, wait. Oh.
Yeah, what? And she overlooks it, and she gets it wrong, and she loses. I think that's the problem because Ashley's not taking her. So I think that's a massive problem for Morgan's win percentage. So I'm putting Morgan at 40%, and then I'm not even kidding. I'm going to do like a 31-29 situation where I think it's Ashley because she controls her own fate, so she has to be a smidge higher.
Yeah.
and then it's Vince. But I think Vince has a real shot now if Ashley takes him because, and I think people online have this wrong, and this has been a common thing with Big Brother juries the last few years, where the people online really overestimate the vitriol that some of these jurors have to these house guests. Vince burned everyone. That is 100% true. You want to know what else also Vince did? Never got voted out. Never was really in that much danger after week like 12 or around there. And then, or the first few weeks, excuse me, the earlier weeks in the season, like 12 weeks ago. That's the last time he was really in danger, when it was either him, Morgan, or Zach who were going home that week. So he hasn't really been in much danger. And I think a lot of people will respect that way more than people give off, because every single person is bitter when they leave. That's what happens. People are really upset. They're like, oh my God, Vinny the Lip and all this stuff. Like, oh my God, I'll never talk to him again. But at the end of the day, they look at the resumes and they're like, who do we want to be the representation of our season? They don't know the online backlash. They don't know that his girlfriend left him.
but ultimately it is, I've seen it before in juries where it's whoever burns you the most, and we've seen it with Casey and Tyler. Tyler made the decisions. He burned a lot of people. Casey won. Paul and Josh. Paul burned a lot of people, lied a lot of people's faces. He lost.
But do you think he was as malicious with Vince? I think that's why I'm giving him more of a shot.
Right, but Ashley was also the same thing. She was not in any danger really for most of the game. She won the veto in week 1, and then she.
But I think that's because they didn't respect her in that way, and to me, that's not a good winner. You know what I mean? Well, she wasn't in danger because she wasn't doing anything. They didn't think, a lot of them didn't think she was doing anything. Yes,
we agree. But with this jury specifically, having so many friends of Ashley, I think they respect her.
True.
If this was Zach and it was Riley in the jury, maybe Catherine, yes. But with Ava being in the jury, with Will being in the jury,
very true.
They have 4 judges in the jury. Ironically enough, they have in the jury. They would have whoever goes home between Vince and Morgan.
Morgan's the final vote. Oh my God.
Morgan's the final vote. But they have Rachel in there, and obviously we know Rachel loves Ashley. Maybe she would vote Vince just because she thinks he played a better game. But again, there's the judges. I think they like Ashley to the point where she never was put up. So in this jury, with people who Vince has burned, no doubt about it, because his jury management has not been very good. He cut his allies before jury. He cut Riley before jury, possible vote for Vince. He cut Catherine before jury. He was working with Riley indirectly and working with Vince. He cut Jimmy. He cut Adrian before jury, who was working with Vince. He cut all these people. These could have been jury votes for him. Now he's got the whole judges in the jury, and they might just like Ashley more. That could be a downfall for him, I think.
It's going to be really interesting, I think, because with this development, I think it's way more interesting than if it was Morgan and Vince. Obviously, we know what would have happened then. Season would have been over. You could have just wrote the check for Morgan. Now that Morgan has this last step of adversity, at least now it's a conversation. I thought we were just going to go into Sunday or Monday's pod whenever we do it, and we're going to be like, what did you expect? It was Morgan and Vince. We knew it was happening. The second Vince won part 2, and that was that. But now that at least Ashley's in there, okay, we at least get a little bit of intrigue. But I'm excited to review that season. And the bulk of the episode will be, again, the finale. And then, of course, fixing Big Brother, because boy, does it need fixing.
Oh, my gosh.
But, Mike, I'm excited to also, down the road, talk more Survivor. We're going to have a basketball episode next week as well. And we're going to do some more football because, of course, we're doing football every week. We're going to do some basketball. We're going to do some Survivor. And then, of course, wrap Big Brother up. But there's a lot on the Gurus, guys. So make sure to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. That's Mike. I'm never forgetting that ever again. This is X, and we will see you next time.